Thank you very much. Great to see so many people in the room. It's been a really good couple of days. I've really been enjoying it. Yeah, thank you for Future Insights for inviting me. So my name's Dan, and as Michelle said, I'm a designer. I also just discovered a bit of Keynote animation. So this is literally as in-depth as it goes. Yeah. So I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter as, look at that, DE. So that's actually quite cool. I appreciate it, but I get a lot of this, a lot of spam. But if you want to tweet anything throughout, if I do happen to say anything remotely interesting, then please tweet it. If you have any questions, please tweet me. As Michelle said, I'm also the creative director and co-founder of No Divide, which is an agency that I co-founded last year. And we've worked with some pretty cool clients. Some of them you may know, some of them you probably won't. But most recently, we launched the new 5 Simple Steps site, which is they make little pocket guides and books for creative people, so check it out. I'm also the creator of a site called Oozled, which is essentially a curated directory of everything, creative, development resources, etc. And I've got a load of free stickers, so if you do like free swag, come and grab some of those. So what is Mojo? I couldn't talk about Mojo without including a slide of Austin Powers. I know we've got a pretty international audience here, but I would like to think that Austin Powers has spread across the world. And if he hasn't, and you haven't seen Austin Powers, go check it out. When I actually looked at what Mojo meant, I kind of found the best definition was a combination of happiness and meaning that excites and motivates you. But it's something that's very easy to lose. So I want to quickly go back to 2013, which is obviously a couple of years ago. Now, as Michelle said, I was very, very lucky that I got to win Net Magazine's Young Designer of the Year when I did actually feel young. And in a couple of years, I've definitely felt a lot older. But I had a great year. It was probably the most incredible year of my career. But unfortunately, 2014 didn't quite go the same way. I had work that kind of just screeched to a halt. I had some delayed projects. My project management was really poor. And I kind of just felt out of touch and out of love with what I'd fallen in love with. I think most people have probably felt like this at some point. It's often branded as burnout or creative block, whatever you want to call it. But it kind of felt like it went further than that for me. So it kind of felt like it was literally me not wanting to do anything. It wasn't just, oh, I don't really know how I'm going to design a site. It was, I don't even know if I want to design websites anymore. I wrote about it. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I wrote about it on my blog, and I got some really good support from people. And if you do want to read about it, then you can check it out through there. It's called Treading Through Treacle. So why do we lose our mojo? I think it would kind of be naive of me to be able to just stand here and say that there are certain reasons, and I can pinpoint for every single one why anybody would struggle with anything in their life. But there is one guarantee, and that is at some point, life is going to knock us down a time or two. So, you know, we need to kind of prepare for it and be able to pick ourselves up. I don't know what everyone's life expectations are. I think the kind of desire to have this perfect life and beautiful things around us means that we start to look around us that people that we consider successful, maybe the people that we think have the perfect life. I mean, look at this guy. So happy. You know, or, you know, people that we think have the perfect job. I mean, look how fucking happy they are to be just doing that. That is so, like, that doesn't exist. That's a shame. There is no such thing as a perfect job. At the end of the day, if you ask anybody that has been super successful, an Oscar-winning actor, a comedian, a beer taster, at some point it would have had downsides in their career, and that there are downsides to what they do. I think the death of Robin Williams last year showed us that no matter how amazing somebody's life may look from the outside, when we go deeper, things can be pretty dark. And I think Steve Furtick puts this pretty well when he says that the reasons that we struggle with insecurities is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. Which I do all the time, right? On Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it's particularly noticeable on Instagram. You notice people in these amazing restaurants, doing the hot dog legs, whatever they're doing. It's easy to kind of compare ourselves to this, their highlight reel. And it makes you feel a bit crap. But, you know, when it comes to your work, there are a number of reasons, I think, why we struggle with motivation. And for me, I could kind of pick 3, which are projects, environment, and people. But the good news is these are things that can be changed. So let's talk about projects. I generally say that you should work on projects that excite you. And sometimes this is kind of met with like, you don't live in the real world kind of attitude. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is about being a sport brat. I think this is a healthy business attitude. At the end of the day, if you're doing work that you love doing, then the quality is going to be good, and you're going to put that extra 10% in that the client is bound to ask you for at the end. If you're feeling like you're really not enjoying what you're doing, then you're going to slog along, the quality is going to lapse, it's going to be much tougher. So I think not being a yes man or woman is really key here. Considering what you will learn from the project, is this something where you think you'll really add value to? We're quite happy to have those conversations with the client and say, you know, why have you come to us, and, you know, really understand the project, and what is it that we're going to add to this? Are we going to bring something to the table? It means we don't necessarily win every project, but at the end of the day, every project isn't for us. And there's side projects too. I mean, side projects are great. Who here, raise of hands, has ever worked on a side project at some point? Right, so a lot of people, okay? And put your hand up if every single one of them went live. Oh. I'm not going to shame you. I'm guilty of this too. I think most of us have this. I have loads of domains, far too many, that I need to definitely cancel before they renew. I have a personal projects folder that's full to the brim with ideas, and some went as far as a sign-up page, but most of them didn't, if I'm honest. But generally, it doesn't really bother me. I was happy to be learning throughout all of this. I learned a lot of new skills from side projects, and sometimes it was enough to win new clients. So I've learned a bit more about branding or illustration, maybe looking into code a little bit more, understanding how that works. And as I said, it has actually helped me win clients, which is great. But you do have to start to look at why they didn't launch. And I just love that loops. This is why GIFs are brilliant. So around, the most popular reason that I hear when I'm speaking to people is, client work got in the way, which really is just bad project management. You know, at the end of the day, yes, we can work on side projects in our own time, but actually if we dedicate just even a few hours a week to a side project, be surprised at just how much you can do. And the other 50% was just not being able to execute an idea quickly enough, being worried that my Twitter followers would judge me if I put something out that wasn't quite right, when really what they're going to judge you for is if you put nothing out. So what I had to do was take the words of Elsa from Frozen and just let it go. And I'm sorry, because if you're a parent in this room right now, immediately in your head, you've got let it go going, and you're probably sick to death and want to shoot me in the face. So I'm sorry about that. But what we do have to do is stop faffing over these small details and just launch something. And so last year, I took my own advice and launched Oozled. And this isn't a promotion for Oozled, I don't want it to be, but it's a perfect example of me taking my own advice. And Oozled started because I gave a talk to around literally 7 students at my graphic design college, and I put together this resource list on Medium of about 80 things that I thought would be really helpful for them if they're trying to get into web design. And I'm pretty sure none of them read it. But over 100,000 people did, and this screenshot was taken quite a while ago, but it's had over 100,000 views. We've had a lot of contributions from people commenting on it, people sending me emails saying, can you add this, this would be great, have you thought about this category? It goes on and on and on and on and on, and it's not scalable. Like, that list is just ridiculous. There's no navigation, it's just a blog post at the end of the day. It was meant just as a handy thing for people to read. So it wasn't a long-term solution. So I spoke to my friend Ryan, who is now my technical director, co-founder, whatever you want to call it, of Nodivide. And pretty much the only reason I put this slide in was so I could do that. And he hates it because he knows I'm going to put it in, but he's not here, so what are you going to do? So we set ourselves a target of 3 weeks where we had like a window, and we launched Oozled. Oozled's been growing pretty rapidly. We've been adding new features to the site. We have over 600 resources on it, 40-odd categories, around 6,000 users. And it's been really good for us. It's also helped us win clients. We've now got more web application design work coming in and builds, so that's really good to see. And yeah, overall it's been a really exciting experience. So environment. And really the only thing I really want to talk about on environment is to step out of it. Take time to unplug. I think this is a fairly common theme that probably people say a lot, is we should disconnect from technology, and for me, I'm kind of fortunate. I live by the sea. I can get out and I can go surfing, but That doesn't happen that often in the UK where I live, so I sometimes just going for a skate or going for a walk is pretty good. The important thing there is getting outside. I think everybody knows here that sunlight is vital to your body. It helps with digestion, food absorption, maintains your insulin balance, etc. But there's a huge power in the sun, and recently there was some research done at the Baker Heart Research Institution in Melbourne, and they collected blood samples from around 100 men. And what they found was the amount of sun exposure they had directly profounded their moods. So if they had adequate exposure, they had elevated moods and decreased stress levels. And this was due to an increase in serotonin levels in the blood. So get outside every day if possible. I'm very, very aware I'm not the poster boy for this, because I do look like an extra from Twilight. I'm just cursed with pale skin. But I do try and get outside every day. And people. People are like the most important part of all of this. So working with people that can support you is something that I've learned since forming No Divide. Now, I was a freelancer for about 6-7 years before I'd formed No Divide. And although I was always collaborating with people, I didn't rely on anybody else if anything went wrong. And this doesn't matter if you're in an agency and you're thinking maybe this doesn't apply to me, I do have people around me. You know, that's great, but just make sure that you are working with people that you really feel you've got that connection with and you can go to if things are tough, you're struggling. And since forming No Divide with Ryan, we've been able to chat about any of these issues that we faced and found areas that we can focus on. It means that we can work to each other's strengths. There's things that I really, really suck at. I'm not good at tracking expenses. My time management is actually really pretty poor, but I'm getting better at it. I hope none of the clients watch this. But it's stuff that he's really, really good at, and he's helping me. And there's stuff that he's not so good at. I'm not going to shame him, but there's stuff that he's not so great at. So, but we also have a really good professional crossover as well. He's a fantastic developer. He's also interested in UX design, and you know, he's able to help me in the areas that I suck at in professionally as well. And clients are people too. So having clients that actually understand you and understand your process and values is really key to a healthy, happy designer, developer, whatever. And understanding your value when you're dealing with clients and understanding you're a professional and you should be treated as such is really key. As I said earlier, we should always be asking why a client is hiring us. Why have you come to us? Like, it's very rarely in our case that it's because we're ranked near the top for like search in a designer in London, because we're a remote agency and we don't really have a fixed location. So understanding that and understanding why people are coming to you is really key. And your values are so important. Having clients that understand your values, understand your process, and that want to work with you because of you is really key. We've become better at noticing these red flags where, you know, people are just approaching us because they've sent a mailing out to like 30 designers and they're just hoping for somebody to pitch back with a tender or whatever. And we shouldn't be just working for the money. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be working to satisfy our accountants. This is the most boring photo of a person I could find. So I'm not sure he's an accountant, but it kind of looks familiar. That's me being a bit harsh, maybe. But so much of our life is spent working, it doesn't make sense to be unhappy and just satisfying this guy. Fuck this guy. Communication is key here. So when you're dealing with clients, treat them as people. Educate them when needed. Clients are not stupid. They know their business better than you ever will, and they should know their business better than you ever will, because they are your clients, it's their business. We try and avoid these sort of ta-da moments. We're not presenting just final websites and going, here everything is. All this leads to is frustrated clients, frustrated designers, and terrible feedback. So we try to now get our clients involved much earlier on. We start to look at using tools like Typecast. So we're looking at type, and we're starting to look at style guides. And this style guides site is actually a really good resource put together by Anna Debenham and Brad Frost, and it's full of information if you're looking to. I know that Chiara gave a really good talk yesterday, which is perfect, on style guides and the importance of them. So that's been really good in getting our clients on board from the start. And also, when we're talking about evolving from clients, something that we've actually done this year, purely because of some bad decisions we made last year, is actually ensuring that in our contract we specify anybody that's a decision maker is involved from the beginning. And this avoids the MD coming in at 6 months later and going, yeah, I don't like blue. What the fuck? Like, what do you mean you don't like blue? So it just avoids that, because everybody's been involved throughout the process. And if the MD can't be involved, then somebody that can act and decide on his behalf should be involved. the end of the day, it's all about the people. We've not chosen a style of company to work with. We are working with people that we like. We want to be involved with them for like several weeks, sometimes months, and so making sure that we get on with them is really important. So what is your mojo? As I said, I think we should enjoy our job, especially when we consider that on average, we have around 27,000 days on this planet, and on average, over 10,000 of them are spent working. I know that's pretty depressing, but that is an incredible amount of time to not do something you enjoy. If you'd, of course, be making that time count. So what if you were able every day to have $84,600 in your bank account, and the next day it disappeared and you got another $84,600? I want to show you a quick video from a guy called Elvis De Leon, who's a graphic designer, and he just explains how important this time is.
I think if we had a lot more leadership out in the hood, in the ghetto, for the kids, it'd be a lot easier to go into something positive than go into something negative. That you get 84,600 seconds a day. Imagine if you wake up every day with $84,600 in your bank account. And every day, at the end of the night, it's gone, whether you wasted it or not, and then the next day you get another $84,600. You would do everything in your power to spend it, because you know the next day you're getting $84,600. You don't want to leave nothing there. You'd make the best of it, right? You get 84,600 seconds. Why waste time? It doesn't carry over to the next day. It doesn't earn interest. You know, take every day and every moment and make something of it. Make something positive.
So that really struck a chord with me. Let's be honest, nobody wants to spend all that time feeling uninterested in what they're doing, bored, and just wishing they were doing something else. So what we really need to do is start to look at what actually makes us happy, what makes us itch. What if we removed money from the situation for a minute? There's a guy you may or may not know called Alan Watts, and there's a video I'm going to show you a short excerpt of, because the whole video is around 4 minutes long, so I'm just going to show you a short clip of it, and he just explains exactly what this could mean to his students.
What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
And the video goes on, and I definitely suggest that you check it out. So what would you be doing? There was a really good commencement address by Jim Carrey, and I don't have a clip of the video, but what he said was, my father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that it was possible for him. So he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job, and our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which is that you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance doing what you love. So there isn't a magic formula. There isn't a pill that everybody can swallow that will work for everyone every time. But some of the stuff that I've been talking about today, and some of the stuff I'm going to go on to talk about, is just things that have kind of worked for me and I found over the last year or so. And actually, when I was at an event called Reasons to be Creative last year, I saw a talk by this lady, Lizzie Cullen, who's an amazing illustrator from London. And she talked about her work and stuff, but she also talked about how she kind of felt similar to me at the same sort of point in my career. And something she said really struck a chord with me, and that was, don't just run away, take a step back and remember what brought you here in the first place. Now that is so key, and that really, literally, it was one of those light bulb moments where I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything that I did when I first started. I'm building websites. You know, what brought me here? I mean, this was the kind of graphic studio that I learned graphic design in. I didn't have a computer till I was 15. Web design was the inevitable evolution of what I was doing at the time. I just found that it was a good way for me to kind of take what I was doing in college and make it a bit more digital. I've never been that good at drawing. I mean, some of my college work, I mean, I thought I was very political with this piece up here, like the September 11, and then hard-hitting animal welfare pieces like this. I mean, this stuff isn't great. I'm fully aware of that. But it was what I really enjoyed doing, and then I used to do stuff like this when I was at college, which was poor. But, you know, I mean, I'd like to say that I've got better since then. But allow yourself to be a beginner, because no one starts off being excellent. And yes, that is me falling off my skateboard 2 weeks ago. I don't know what it is. For some reason, you get to like 27 and you think, yeah, I'm going to get a skateboard again. And I'm going to go down the local school and I'm going to skate around. And I did, and I fell off. And I really hurt my coccyx. But, you know, I did start off just by, when I actually got into more web design, I started off posting more work on Dribble and doing stuff like this, which I wasn't hired by Pinterest to do this. This was me just thinking, well, nobody's hiring me to do iOS work, so why don't I just do some? And there's a lot of talk about this kind of work where there's no client there, and you're just going and doing what you want, and it's basically, people just say it's just designers being designers and not thinking about anything else. But actually, is there really that much wrong with that? I mean, I don't know. It's learned me some really good skills. I started to look into more user interface stuff, so doing this pretty cruddy email app, I would set myself like short goals, like 2 hours or something to do this, and looking at things like Spotify at the time, and this was going back a few years, looking at how I could maybe redesign some of the player stuff in that. And this kind of led on to me doing work like this, which was, again, I wasn't paid for this. This was actually for Net Magazine as part of their build-off, and if you're a designer, I would definitely consider contacting Net Magazine and taking part of this, because it's great exposure for your work, and it's also really fun. I'm into surfing. I wanted to do something that was pretty cool, and the theme was a theme park, and I thought, well, make a surf theme park, which is what I did. I've done a ton of this stuff, like all of this stuff on here. I've never been paid for. It was just me experimenting with stuff, whether it's UI or more vector stuff and playing around with Illustrator. It's just made me a better designer, and all of this stuff is just designing for fun. So shortly after I saw Lizzie speak, I just started doing stuff for fun. And one of the first ones, actually I think the first one I did, was this Royal Blood poster. Now this was great fun to do. It took a couple of hours, and it was just drawing and doing a bit of Photoshop editing and stuff, and it was a really great thing to do. And that sort of spurred me off on this whole lunchtime drawings thing, where I literally set myself lunchtime to just go and draw something. And sometimes they're really quick. You know, the Nobody Starts Out Perfect was literally just me getting some inks from local art shop, because I had never done any ink work, and just doing some quick lettering, which isn't really lettering, and you know, just doing other sort of Black Friday came, so I did this guy drop kicking an old woman in the face. There's things like this. This was just really good fun, and actually it's led on to me being able to do some commercial work in this area. So there was an event called the Web Is last year in Cardiff, and I did the lanyards for them, which was really great fun. It's pretty simple. I got to turn Craig into a stock photo guy, which was fun. And then I've gone on to do something like this, which is for a friend of mine. He's got a band called Mark of 1,000 Evils. And again, this was like when I was at school, I used to really love, and I don't know if everyone did this, might have just been me as a weird kid in the corner, but I used to just throw ink on a page and then get a straw and just blow it around and just see sort of what shapes came out and then fold the page over and see what happened. And that was literally all that is, really. But he's really happy and it was good fun to do. I think so often I feel that we're focused on storytelling and process and refinement that sometimes the fun is just like, you shouldn't be designing for fun, man. If you're designing for fun, then you're an artist and you're not a designer. You should be problem solving. You should be thinking, like, yeah, okay, you should. But at the end of the day, work should be fun. Like this, the background of this slide here is from a guy called Seb Lee Dalal. I don't know if any of you know Seb's work, but check it out. This project here is called Pixel Pyros, as far as I'm pretty sure it is. And what it is just people down the bottom here are tapping on a huge digital screen and setting off digital fireworks. Like, it's so cool and it's so much fun. But that is his work. Like, he's made that into his job. So designing for fun is massively underrated. So what brought you here? I think what we should be trying to do is identify points throughout our career where your work felt really exciting, rewarding, and fun. And also maybe points where it felt really restricted and dried up and bored. Are there any themes across these projects, things that you can pick out, and what can we learn from them? So for me, having creative challenges was really important. So having work that I felt most engaged with was when it wasn't just something that was very easy for me to put out. It wasn't just literally like feeling like I was part of a chain. It was something that actually challenged me creatively. Having clients that understood that not just having to give me creative control, but also being able to challenge them as well was really important. Just not what they would expect from the project, and being paid fairly. And this isn't me saying like you should be paid stupidly a load of money just because you're a good designer. This is just feeling like at the end of it, you've got enough money to live and you're happy and you're content and you don't feel like, oh, I wish I'd never taken on that project because now I'm in debt. So just get a pen and paper and write down all these things that excited you off in the beginning, from right when you started in your design or development career, and just go and do some fun stuff and see where it leads. So don't become discouraged. It's really hard to run a business, be self-motivated, especially if you work in like a remote agency or something like that. My dad has this idea that I just wake up at 11, sit in my laptop in my pants, but I normally get up at 12, so it's wrong. Don't be lonely. As I said, speak to people. Use the people around you as to help you. And be social. It's great that you're here. Events like this are amazing for connecting with people. I need to sort of take some of my own advice here because I'm a bit bad at kind of getting out and meeting people, but I'm trying to get better. And do come and say hello. Be proud of the work that you're doing. People are listening. You just have to shout about it. At the end of the day, Twitter is becoming noisier and noisier every day. So we've got to talk about it. So I just want to go back to designing for fun very quickly. As I said, so one of the posters I showed you there was the Royal Blood one. And what I did as part of that, which I also wanted to try and do at some point, was record the entire process from start to end. And so I'm just going to share that with you now. Cool. So, thank you. I love the fact that I just get to blast out royal blood at the end of that talk. That's awesome. So I had a few of these printed, and it's full of imperfections. That bullet, I've been told, shouldn't have the casing on it because it's been fired. My bad. Yeah, it's full of imperfections, but I've had like a handful printed, and I've brought some with me. And we've got 6 minutes, apparently. So what I'm going to do is I've also had a few of these creative process posters printed as well. They're much smaller, but what I'm going to do is if you've got any questions, then please just ask away and come pick up a poster. And if I've still got some left, come pick one up anyway. Thank you very much.